Okay, so picture this. You're just doing your weekly shopping, maybe grabbing some milk and eggs, and then suddenly, bam, the doors lock. A voice comes on and tells you the last person to leave this grocery store wins $250,000. What do? Let's dive into this absolutely wild, real-life social experiment.
See, this wasn't just some competition for a cash prize. No, it quickly turned into this fascinating test of human nature. You've got endless supplies, sure, but you also have very limited space, and all these strangers had to figure out how to build a whole new world from scratch. And we get to watch it all go down.
And this is why. $250,000. That's life-changing money, and that number instantly transforms this from some kind of fun game into a serious long-term battle of wills. So, how did this whole thing even start? Well, it all kicked off with a store full of people who were completely unsuspecting. They just thought they were there for a huge 50% off sale. They had no idea what was coming. And then, the announcement just drops like a bomb. Can you even imagine the sheer shock and confusion? For every single person in that store, reality just completely flipped upside down in a heartbeat. The game was on, like it or not. So right away, this created an instant filter. A lot of people, they had jobs to get back to or families, and they just couldn't commit. So they took the easy win, a cart packed with free groceries. But the ones who stayed, they were the real deal. They were in it for the long haul. Okay, so with all the casual players gone, the contestants who were left started the real challenge. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about living. They started building a brand new society, right there between the cereal and the cleaning supplies. And what's wild is how fast alliances formed. People just naturally started grouping up for safety and support. You had Fort Freezy, who controlled all the good meat, the super secretive office team, the really clever innovators, and then all these smaller crews who were just holding down their own aisles. It was literally a new society forming in real time.
Now, what's so interesting here is you see these totally different philosophies at play. Fort Freezy was all about building this big, open community and controlling the resources. The office team, though, they went the opposite way. They chose total isolation and security, locking themselves away from all the chaos. It's two very different answers to the exact same problem.
And this is where you really see that human drive to adapt just kick into high gear. I mean, they weren't just surviving, they were making a home. They built beds out of shelving. They rigged up a working shower with a garden hose. They even built a full gym. They were settling in for what could be months.
But we all knew that peace couldn't last, right? With $250,000 on the line, it was only a matter of time before cooperation turned into straight-up conflict.
And the spark that lit the whole powder keg? It started with something so small, so petty, on night 5. A contestant named Xavier goes and pops someone's pool floaty bed. Well, when the victim's team finds out who did it, they retaliate, and things just explode. It escalates into a store-wide riot. People are destroying each other's forts, and the fallout? Several people were so freaked out by the anarchy that they just walked. The prize wasn't worth it.
This quote tells you everything you need to know about the guy who kicked it all off. See, in his mind, he wasn't just being destructive. He was playing the game. This was a strategy, a way to psychologically break the competition through what he called organized chaos. And that right there, that was the turning point. The honeymoon was officially over. The game was no longer about who could just endure the boredom. It was now about who could actively, mentally make other people quit. The age of psychological warfare had begun. So, let's get into the next phase, because after that first riot, the attacks became a lot more calculated. This wasn't just pure chaos anymore. This was strategic sabotage. Xavier, fully embracing his role as the store villain, sets his sights on the one thing that was keeping everyone sane, the basketball hoop. It was pretty much their only source of entertainment. Taking it away wasn't just a prank. It was a direct assault on the morale of every single person in that store.
But the other alliances, they learned from his playbook. They decided to fight fire with fire, and they launched this incredible countermove, the Great Burner Heist. So, step 1, the distraction. They make up this fake top 10 ceremony to get everybody to the back of the store. Step 2, the execution. While everyone's distracted, one person sneaks off and steals all the cooking burners, a huge blow. And finally, step 3, the frame job. The plan was brilliantly designed so that Xavier would be the first person to discover the crime, making him look like the guilty one.
I mean, this was just a masterclass in social engineering. The game wasn't about who was strongest anymore. It was about who could manipulate the situation best. They used Savian's own reputation for chaos against him, and it worked like a charm, turning him into public enemy number one.
But as the days turned into weeks, all the strategic games started to feel less important. They started to fade in the face of a much deeper, much more emotional challenge. The very real human cost of being cut off from the entire world.
And this quote just gets right to the heart of it. After weeks of being locked inside, people started to seriously question if the prize money was worth what they were losing, which was irreplaceable time with their loved ones.
You can just feel the agony in these words. For the parents in there especially, this was a brutal, agonizing choice they had to make every single morning they woke up. The pull of family was becoming so much stronger than the pull of the money.
This slide just lays out the dilemma perfectly. On one side, you have $250,000, financial freedom, and on the other, you have moments with your family, with your kids, that you can never, ever get back. For a lot of them, that math just stopped making sense, and they chose to go home. So in the final days, when it's down to just a few people left, the strategy gets primal. One group, who couldn't cook their own food anymore, basically decided that if they couldn't eat, nobody could. They started systematically destroying their last opponent's food and all his cookware. And this heated exchange just says it all. Any sense of community was completely gone. The whole experiment that started with alliances and sharing resources had just ended in this raw, personal, ugly conflict. It was every person for themselves. So, it leaves us with this huge question. In a pressure cooker like this, we saw some incredible creativity and community building, but we also saw sabotage, cruelty, and chaos. It really makes you stop and wonder what choices you would make when that line between winning a game and maybe losing a piece of your humanity starts to get really, really blurry.